Supervisa la red global de desarrolladores para PayPal y Bantry, donde ocupa el cargo de director senior global. Lunn emplea su tiempo principalmente enfocado a la innovación, asegurándose que los desarrolladores alrededor del mundo tengan acceso a las características, funcionalidad y retroalimentación que requieren de PayPal y Bantry. Anteriormente, Lunn trabajó durante 15 años desarrollando sistemas de pago y detección de fraudes en diversas startups. De manera adicional, ha sido consultor para estrategias de negocios y pagos de muchas startups, así como de grandes corporativos. John, a un programa por diversión. Así que le damos por favor un fuerte aplauso y le damos la bienvenida.
Thank you. So is this working? So I don't know what he said because I don't speak Spanish. Sorry. Was it nice? Did he say nice things? Okay. I won't hit him then. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about something a little bit controversial. So I'm going to talk about evolution of human beings and how technology is becoming part of evolutions. I think as human beings, we are about to change from Homo sapiens into Homo digitalis. And there's a reason for this, and we'll talk through that. So let's talk about evolution for a bit. Let's talk about what makes you a human being. And the first thing, there's always a discussion about nature versus nurture. So I don't know if you've heard this, you've probably seen Trading Places and many other films. So nature, you are born, you are what your parents make you. You are what your genes make you. So you are born with certain skills, certain characteristics that make you into the human being you are today. That is one theory. The next theory is the projector works. Okay. The second theory is nurture. So nurture is when you learn to be the human being you are through things that happen to you. So in this case, this guy will not get old because he's making a mistake. But this is nurture. So you learn from your mistakes. And that makes you into the human being you are today. I don't think either is right. I think actually... Oh, this doesn't work. So I think actually it's a combination of the two things. So I think nature is part of it. So you inherit the characteristics that your parents give you. So, you know, if you are very big and very strong and your father is a basketball player and you were born tall like your father, you could be a basket player too. But also nurture is very, very important because nurture will determine what you do and how you do it. So yes, if you're born big and strong, but you were brought up in a country where they don't play basketball, you probably will not be a basketball player. But this actually affects how you grow as a human being. And it's a change. So actually what happens to you is you have experiences that make you good and bad. So when you were a child, you tried beer for the first time. Everyone here tried beer for the first time? Anyone not tried beer? No? Good. So all those people who tried it, as a child you tried it, and I bet you hated it. The first time you tasted it, you thought, it's disgusting. Now, who doesn't drink beer? Anyone here not drink beer? Two people. All right, 2 people didn't learn. But through life, you discover actually beer does a different thing to you. It tastes bitter, it tastes slightly strange, but it makes you drunk and it makes you happy. So you've actually learned something and you've made yourself a different human being. Now, as you run through this, these different experiences that come in from different senses, taste, sight, sound, etc., that actually grows you into what you are today and describes how you act and how you behave. So let's talk a bit about what has changed here. So here is a smartphone. This is the smartphone, something that most of us carry around with us today. And this is actually changing very much one fundamental of yourself that you might not recognize. So if we just your brain, that smartphone is a second brain. So my smartphone for me is quite interesting. My smartphone remembers my girlfriend's birthday. I don't remember my girlfriend's birthday. My smartphone does all kinds of different things for me, but actually it's become my second brain. It's become the second part. It knows where I'm supposed to be today. It knows what I'm supposed to do today. But it actually does a variety of different other things. So this is the lock on my door at home. This is how I get into my house. My smartphone opens the door of my house. So as I get close to my house, my smartphone using low energy Bluetooth identifies me, says, "Hello, John," and my door opens. I don't need to carry keys now. Now, if I want to invite you to my house, what happens is I can email you my keys. So I can email to your smartphone the keys to my house. You can go to my house. It'll say, hello, Paul. You can walk into my house. That smartphone is now controlling access to my building. Other things that I can do is my car. This isn't my car. I don't have this car. But you could use this for everyone knows Jawbone. Everyone knows these fitness sensors. So again, my smartphone is now sensing how fit I am, how many walks I'm doing, how many hills I've climbed, how many calories I've burnt, what food I've eaten. It's all being passed through my smartphone. And this is actually a new device that I got the other day. This is a blood pressure monitor. So I can connect this to my arm and it will tell me what my blood pressure is. There's so many different, again, connected to your smartphone. There's so many different things that the smartphone is actually collecting. So I have a shirt. So when I go running, my shirt is connected and tells my smartphone what my heartbeat is, tells me how fast I'm breathing, and it connects to my blood pressure. So if I'm going to die because I'm not a very good runner, it will tell me, stop, slow down, don't run so fast. What is your smartphone collecting? Your smartphone is collecting all kinds of information about you. It knows where you are. It has GPS. It knows what you're doing. It has a calendar. It knows how you're moving. It's got a movement sensor. It knows so much about you. This smartphone has these sensors all over the place, all being collected and fed into the smartphone. Does everyone know what this machine is? This is the Mars rover. This is actually on Mars at the moment, and if you've got a spare 2 hours, go and look on the website. It's traveling around Mars, taking some amazing, amazing photographs. But what this thing has, it has over 160 sensors on it. It's actually detecting all kinds of things. It can pick up a piece of soil, it can analyze it, it can look for all kinds of elements. It can look and see if there's water, has ever been water on Mars, and then it's beaming that up to a satellite that's sending it to Earth. This thing is going to be doing this for a number of different years. It's moving around. And actually, that's quite interesting, because what's happening to human beings? Wearables. So we are actually starting to equip ourselves in wearables. We're starting to wear these things all over myself. So I've got my smartwatch, I've got my smartphone. You can get goggles, you can get contact lenses, you can get wigs, you can get all kinds of stuff. All these sensors feeding in shoes, all feeding in data, sensors, all new stuff that you don't know about yourself. It can measure temperature, it can measure pressure, it can measure different gases that are in the environment around you. All these different things, again, coming to your smartphone. So who thinks we've got 5 senses now? As human beings, have we got 5 senses? We've got more. We've got more senses now because we can wear devices that can talk to our smartphone and actually improve us and make us different as human beings. So I would say already with Homo digitalis has 6+ senses already. And the more wearables we get, the more devices we get connected to ourselves, the more we'll actually be able to learn about the environment. Before that was left to nature. Now we've got technology that's going to help that. Have a look at your smartphone. This is a fun game. If you're in a pub or a bar with your friends, take their smartphone and write down all the apps that they've got, and then classify those apps into groups. So see where your groups are. So this is my smartphone. You can see I have 21 travel apps on my smartphone. I have 18 technology apps, 9 fitness apps. I try really hard. But I have all these different apps on my smartphone. Now, can you guess what type of human being I am from the apps? Yeah? You can tell I travel a lot. That's the first thing. I spend a lot of time traveling. You can also say I can probably work in technology because I have all kinds of technology apps. But you can also say I've got at least one child because I've got children's apps. Either that or I like children's apps. But I've got at least one child. And because of me, I've got something to do with payments. That's just simple by just looking at the apps. Now, if you take it a step further, what would happen if those apps talked to each other? What would happen if actually my smartphone apps started telling each other what they know about me? Is actually you start to get a very, very smart smartphone. And if let's take some examples here. Imagine my phone. Imagine I go on my smartphone and I travel to a different country. And when I get out of the airplane and I walk out, Because I've got a travel app, it knows where I am. I have GPS, it knows where I am. Why doesn't my smartphone open the taxi app that works in that country? So instead of me having to install 21 car taxi apps, which is what I've got now, it just opens the right one for my country. Why can't it do that? Another example, I'm reading a book on my e-reader or on my tablet. Why can't my tablet, when I get in my car, tell my car to play that book, audio, over my car system from exactly the same point I left off when I was reading? And again, when I get home, why can't it switch it back to my e-reader? So wouldn't it be better if all these apps start to talk to each other and start to tell each other what's happening with me? That's not very possible at the moment because a number of the mobile companies don't let you have apps talk to each other and connect it, but it is starting to happen. And there's a very smart future here where apps actually save you time because they can share the data that you repeatedly type. So every new app you sign up, you probably had to sign up. You've had to give details, you have to give name, address, blah, 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 blah. That's a real pain. Wouldn't it be nicer if this app told that app that I was doing this? So this is what we're doing with PayPal. This is what we're doing with an app that we've called Venmo Touch. So Venmo Touch is very clever because you can go and you can buy something on a site like Uber, a taxi company. You can go in and you can put your credit card details once. Then you go and install a new app from something like YPlan. You don't have to type any payment details in because YPlan app knows that I used PayPal or Venmo to pay for this app. So the app knows how I've paid and it doesn't need me to choose how to pay again. So the apps are all talking to each other, which means when I install a new thing like YPlan, I can do one-click payment. And this is actually the way that it's getting smarter. It's making you smarter. The worst thing, of course, is login. So this is something that annoys me a huge amount. Why does every single app have to have a different username and password? So on average, everyone in this room has 60 passwords, 60. And 95% of you have your password, which is in the top 100 passwords. Which means if you're a hacker, you only have to test 100 passwords, and 95% of you, they will get your password. Passwords are terrible. They're broken. They don't work. We need to change that. And if you look at what PayPal's doing, if you get a Samsung Galaxy S5 phone, you actually pay with your fingerprint. So you use a fingerprint to pay. If you look at the Samsung Galaxy Gear Watch, smartwatch, you pay with PayPal by doing check-in. Passwords have got to go away. But since we have to have them, you actually need a password that's linked to your real identity. So I would argue social networks are not your real identity. So you can be a dog on a social network, but a dog does not have a bank account. I always said this, a dog cannot get a bank account, right? Not quite true. Apparently in Tennessee, in the US, a dog can have a bank account, but hey, that's Americans. However, you know the one place, if you think the one place in the world where you keep your data safe, where you make sure all your data is up to date, is your bank, because you get paid in your bank and you have to eat. So you will always make sure your address is right in your bank, everything is correct. So the way that PayPal does this is we connect to your bank. So you use something called login with PayPal. So if you log in with us, for example, if you're putting PayPal on your website and you log in with PayPal, we can guarantee that person is a real human being and not a dog because they have a bank account and they have a credit card, which means it's a secure way. Now, you can use PayPal to log into a variety of different apps, but ultimately, we don't want you to use a password. We want you to use something else. We want you to use biometrics. We want something else to kill passwords, because passwords have been around too long. They're insecure, they're constantly getting hacked, most people are lazy, so the future, you will not have a password. The future will be something else. So everybody says this is sinister. Now you have the people who will say to me, John, this is very sinister that all your apps know what each other's doing. Is that not going to mean that aliens or the government is going to control you? That is a possibility, but I strongly believe I'm more optimistic than many people. And I think actually, I would rather I'm allowed to cook my food and make it hot than not be allowed to use fire because it burns you. I would rather I can cut food with a knife rather than banned from using a knife because I might get cut. I think there's some people out there who are saying all this technology is too much. It's going to interfere. It's going to make everything bad. People are going to be evil with that technology. I don't believe that. I actually think if you're trying to do something to make people's a better life, we should investigate that. We shouldn't just stop it in case someone does bad. And that means the companies working on this have got to have strict ethics and behave well. And if you look at how PayPal acts and how we send, we promise never to share your data unless you want us to. So it is important that you think where your data is. It's valuable. That's the other important thing I always say to people. When anyone rings you on a phone and asks you to do a survey, ask them how much they're going to pay you. Because that data you give them is going to be worth money to them. Your data is valuable. You and everything you do on a computer is actually worth money. So make sure you don't give it away for free. Make sure you get something for you. And that might be an app, that might be a functionality, but always make sure you get something for your data. So the other way you can get around this is, interesting enough, all of you guys have at least 3 online identities, right? So you have your real identity, you have your what we call perceived identity. So everybody is better looking, richer, and has more girlfriends and boyfriends when they're on the internet than they do in real life. And that's standard across the internet. Everybody believes there's something different they am. So you need to have these different identities. And actually, there's nothing wrong with that. You can have a true identity and you can have a perceived identity. And you can behave differently. It's fun to pretend to be different things. And that's okay, as long as deep down there is a proof identity when you're doing something like payments. Who has seen the film Minority Report? Has anyone seen the film? So Tom Cruise walks into the shop. All the things start animating and saying, "Welcome back to the shop. You know, you bought this clothes last time. Would you like to buy the new clothes?" They know Tom Cruise is in the shop, and well, it's not Tom Cruise. It's the characters in the shop. Does anyone think this is science fiction? It's not science fiction. It's real. So actually, we'll talk about PayPal Beacon now. So PayPal has something called a beacon, low energy Bluetooth beacon. With this beacon, it can be inserted into a store. And when you walk into that shop, it activates your phone and your face appears on their till. So they can see your face there. When you want to pay, you say, "I want to pay," and you walk out. You're done. So who likes shopping? Anyone here like shopping? A few people. Does anyone like paying when they go shopping? No one. Why do they make you go in a queue to go and pay when it's the worst thing about shopping? It's stupid. Get rid of it. So walk in, use your face as your identity. That's how you should pay. And with low energy Bluetooth and PayPal Beacon, you can do that today. And we're now installing these all over the place. And this actually changes identity generally, because when you walk into that store, they know you're there already. So they can start to tailor the experience for you. So for example, last night you were shopping on the internet and you looked at a pair of jeans, but you didn't buy them. Now you walk into the store, they can walk to you and give you those jeans in your size to try, because they knew you were there last night and they know you're here now. So you've become invisible, but you've also become very visible. And using that data, you can actually have a very nice shopping experience. Now let's talk quickly about data. So this is an area I've been looking at recently. This means there's going to be an awful lot of data. There's a load of data about you, about people, about everything else. There's many places you could store the data, and at the moment fashionable is the cloud. Of course, we're going to put all our data in the cloud. There's something really interesting we can also learn about evolution and biology. And that's quite scary, but quite interesting. So, does anyone know what this is? This is DNA. DNA is the best storage mechanism that you could have. DNA has stored, one strand of DNA holds everything about you as a human being. Now imagine if you could use DNA to store different data. Sounds very science fiction. However, if we talk next, there's a university in London, in UK, that's actually managed to encode DNA with real data. And what they've taken is the Martin Luther King speech. They've coded that speech into a DNA piece, they've replicated it with RNA, and then they've decoded it out. They've actually made an MP3, they coded it into DNA and produced another MP3 from DNA. That's pretty interesting, and it gets even more interesting when you look at this. There's approximately 3 zettabytes of data that exist in the world today. If you encoded those 3 zettabytes of data onto DNA, you could put every piece of digital information that exists on the planet in the back of one lorry. Now, the best thing about DNA is it doesn't get old like a tape. So a DNA like a cassette or a CD or even any kind of hard drive eventually decays. But with DNA, you have RNA, which replicates DNA. So you can actually get an RNA to replicate a piece of data and constantly keep it fresh. Now, this sounds very science fiction, but this is what human beings and all other animals have always been doing. They've been using DNA to store data about themselves and constantly replicating it over and over again. Of course, you get corruptions in DNA, which is how mutations occur, which is how evolution goes. And the technology is not quite there yet because they're getting quite a lot of corruptions in the DNA. But I actually think we're going to be seeing DNA storage systems for data very, very soon. And they will be tiny, and they will be not needing electricity, and they will be sitting maybe in your body. You might be carrying your data inside you. So let's talk about this. So Homo digitalis, what am I saying? This is a new type of human being that has more than 5 senses, that is carrying, their identity is actually describing them to the world and speaking to computers. They are carrying data about themselves inside their body. And I think this is the next stage of human beings. Homo digitalis is the next stage of man, where computers, data, and human beings actually merge together. You can call it an android if you want, but I think it's actually nearly there today. So this is what I believe is the future. So if you're interested in learning about coding, learning about technology, how many people here are developers? How many people think Mexico is going to win the World Cup? Okay. That's not so optimistic. How many people think Mexico has the best developers in the world? Okay. Are you ready to prove it? Because we have a competition called Battle Hack. We have the World Cup of Hackathons. So we have a hackathon in 14 different cities around the world. The winners of those cities will get 200 people together. They will compete to be the best hacker in Mexico. That team we will take to California, to Silicon Valley. We'll pay for your flights, we'll pay for your transport, and you will compete against 14 different cities from around the world. You'll be competing against Europe, so Berlin, London, Tel Aviv in Israel, Sydney, Australia, Singapore, San Francisco. And at this final, you will compete for a prize of the best hacker in the world, best hack team in the world. And that will be a global prize. You'll win $100,000. The winners will give you $100,000 into your PayPal account, of course. So you need a PayPal account. I'll show you a video of what happened last year. Good sound. It's stalled. Okay, so we're coming to Mexico. This is the first year. So the 27th, 28th of September, come to Mexico City and come and compete to make sure that Mexico at least wins the World Cup of Hackathons, because unfortunately Switzerland, my country, is going to win the real World Cup, so sorry. But please come along. You can register on our website, which is battlehack.org. You can register, show your interest. We'll be releasing the tickets. There's going to be a limited amount of tickets. So if you think you're the best hacker in Mexico, make sure you sign up. It's a really fun event. We're going to have a lot of fun. And there's not many times someone's going to give you $100,000 and not expect anything back. So that's me done. Thank you very much for hearing me speak. Any question? Has anyone got a question? Any questions they want to ask? They're all very shy.
Hi, nice to meet you. How important do you consider are programming contests or in general this kind of competitions in order to detect new talent, not all just in Mexico, I mean around the world?
So I think it's very important because I'm not from Silicon Valley. I'm not American. I'm actually from Switzerland. I live in England. And actually, by this competition, we're able to show that not all the talented guys are in Silicon Valley. Actually, there's talent all over the world. And last year, Moscow won, Russian team won. Second place was, I've forgotten now, Tel Aviv, Israel. Third place was Miami, right? So third place was US. So actually, I think it's very important to show there are other countries in the world where there's a really amazing hacking or development talent with great ideas and not all the good guys in Silicon Valley. I think that's important because Silicon Valley's full. And Mexico has some great startups. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I just want to say it's an amazing presentation. It's mind-opening. I didn't know anything about data encoding. But there is something I'm not getting. What has the title to do with the presentation?
So basically, I'm trying to show if you're invisible, because normally you would have to go and say show a credit card or show a passport. But actually, because of the way you're made, the fact that your smartphone is connected to you as a human being, means you don't do that anymore. You can basically be invisible but completely visible. Because you don't need to walk in and say, hey, I'm John. They already know you're John. And they already know so much about you because your apps are talking to each other and you have all this information about you out there in the network that actually you're very visible, but as far as it goes, you're invisible. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
No problem. Any more questions? Great. Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys at BattleHack. I'm hoping Mexico is going to be the winning country. And thank you for spending your time with me. Thanks, everyone.